Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention just for a very few minutes? Thank you very much indeed, and good evening, my lords and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming here tonight for the launch of Jacob's Ladder. Someone did suggest it should be Jacob's Crackers. But it's a pleasure to see so many of you. I've known Jacob for almost 20 years, since I helped with the funding of his 2001 general election campaign when he stood as the Conservative Party candidate in the Wrekin. Later in 2010, while I was deputy chairman of the Conservative Party, his North East Somerset constituency was on the target list, which I oversaw at the time. We've never been close friends, but we do know each other socially, and he was a guest at my 70th birthday party. And by coincidence, I was based at offices in Cowley Street, just around the corner from here, for some years. When I vacated the property, he bought it and turned it into his family home. Kindly invited me to have a look at it to show to me that had I had the initiative to purchase it as an office, what I could have turned it into. Thank you very much indeed for that, Jacob. And as far as I'm concerned, the question is not, why would you want to write a biography of Jacob Rees-Mogg? Rather, it is, how could you resist writing about him? And like many other people, I've enjoyed his contributions in Parliament over the last 9 years, and in common with so many of the Conservative Party's grassroots supporters, I have always believed he has talent and ambition. And politically, Jacob is a worthy biographical subject for several reasons. Firstly, he is certainly young enough to have a future within the party. Second, I believe it's possible that he will one day hold one of the great offices of state, perhaps as Chancellor of the Exchequer, Home Secretary, or Foreign Secretary. Indeed, between research on this book starting last year and its completion this summer, he assumed his first cabinet post as leader of the House of Commons. It will be fascinating to see how he progresses, either in a standing, sitting, or sleeping on the front bench. But Jacob's climb up the ladder of public life began long ago before he entered Parliament. Almost 40 years ago, when he made newspaper headlines for holding the chairman of Lonhro to account at an AGM in 1981. Jacob was just 11 years old at the time. And soon after, he was asked to star in a Yorkshire television documentary about his double life as a schoolboy stock picker. Before long, he was sent to Eton College, where he set up his own highly successful politics society and used his charm and connections to invite a string of cabinet ministers. And even once, the former Prime Minister, can you answer that? Harold Macmillan, to speak to pupils. Jacob was such a success at school and considered so likely to do well as an adult that the senior brakes at Eton decided he should have his portrait painted, and it still hangs on the college premises. This was an unusual honor and doubtless caused a sneaking envy in some of his contemporaries. The fact that one of them, the actor Dominic West, says Jacob was a showbiz tart in the 1980s, little has changed, and believes that he is still a showbiz tart, is doubtless testament to this. At Oxford University, Jacob stuck out by wearing his trademark double-breasted suit every day. He spent most of his time dabbling in politics. According to one friend, he wasn't a typical student. He turned up and was already like a very interesting 40-year-old man who didn't pretend to be anything other than a 40-year-old man. He had purpose. I remember asking him why he didn't dress in something more casual, like a pair of jeans, and he said, "I cannot be something I'm not." I think that quality of honesty and integrity shines through and makes Jacob a rarity in our increasingly coarse public life, as we have seen over the last few weeks. And since leaving Oxford, Jacob has set up a successful business, turned his hand to being an author, with mixed results, Jacob, and became a father of 6 times over until he found what caused it and stopped. He's made the odd enemy along the way, and it would not be true to say that he hasn't put a few noses out of joint as well. But he has also made a lot of friends, many of whom kindly agreed to speak about him for the purposes of this book. That they spoke so frankly should not alarm him. He should be flattered. It's important at an event like this to say a few thank yous. My gratitude goes to my publishing team at Biteback, incredible company, doing an incredible job, and the fact that I own the company is immaterial to that statement for the public record. And I'd like to thank a young digital guy who's put a number of digital stuff on the social media, young Jock. Thank you, Jock. We won't point you out. I'd like to thank Angela Entwistle, my corporate communications director, and her team for both organizing tonight's event and for helping Biteback on the PR and marketing side. My gratitude goes to my excellent team of researchers for the book, led by Miles Goslett. And I'd like to thank Ted Verity and his team at the Mail on Sunday for giving the serialization of my book such a great show at the weekend, and by the way, more to come this coming weekend. So please don't forget to buy the paper this weekend. Finally, I really need to sell some books tonight. As I said, as in the last few years, I have played the please help a struggling author. I've done that a few times, so I won't repeat that one. For those of you who worry that you could be making a wealthy man even richer, then have no fears. Every single penny of royalties for Jacob's Ladder is going to charity. So please, buy a book, or ideally, several books, in the knowledge that you are helping good causes and making me feel better. And furthermore, as some of you will know, Jacob has a grassroots pressure group promoting his many talents called Momentum. Once the group's 150,000 members start buying Jacob's Ladder in their droves, the books you see tonight could become scarce, even collector's items. So buy the book now while stocks last. I'll happily sign copies for those who want me to do so. And my lords, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And one final thing before I leave you in peace to enjoy the rest of the evening. As I said a few moments ago, I think Jacob's political career is only just getting going. With that in mind, let's return to the Yorkshire television documentary I mentioned earlier and watch for ourselves the proof that Jacob Rees-Mogg has had his eye on the top job in British politics for decades. This program, from a series called Rowan's Report, was broadcast only once. Fabulous research team to be able to get it out. Only once, way back in 1982. So it's with great pleasure that I can show you a short clip. And you must judge for yourselves how much Jacob has changed since then.
I've always been interested in money, and I've always wanted to have money.
This is the world of high finance, where major companies trade millions of pounds every day on behalf of their clients. And I've been looking at someone who's got involved in that world and started making a fortune of his own. And he's 12 years old.
Jacob Rees-Mogg first hit the headlines after the 1981 shareholders' meeting of the General Electric Company.
At the meeting, he strongly criticised the way the company was run, saying that the profit they paid their shareholders was pathetic. GEC is just one of the 6 companies that Jacob owns part of. He leads a double life. By day, he's a pupil at an exclusive public school in London. The rest of his time is spent using money he's inherited to buy and sell shares in large companies.
I've been making an extremely good profit on my GEC. I got my, well, as you know, I got my first lot at 371 and I've continued to buy.
What do you enjoy doing when you're not busy in the financial world?
I like playing cricket and snooker. I like snooker and also reading and listening to Mozart.
Do you have any friends who share your interest?
No, my friends don't share this interest at all. They want to know how to make money quickly with about £10, and that's very difficult to do on the stock market.
What do you want to do in the future?
Well, I'm going to continue buying and selling shares, and I also hope to become managing director of GEC at 30, and I'd like to be Prime Minister at the age of 70.
I give you Jacob Rees-Mogg, and thank you very much, Jacob, for coming this evening.